The second common employment law mistake that many employers in California and specifically startups make that can be very costly is misclassifying employees as independent contractors. And I would like to illustrate this through a real-life common example of misclassification and to also show why it can be so expensive. Let's say you recently started a company and you have 20 or 30 employees, and you decided to bring 2 or 3 IT people to support the network at your office. And you learn that if you classify them as contractors, you can save a lot of money because you don't have to pay them overtime like you would have to pay to employees. You don't have to provide them with workers' comp insurance, and you don't have to make all these contributions that you have to make to the paychecks of your regular employees, such as Medicare, Social Security, and EDD contributions for state disability insurance and unemployment benefits insurance. So you ask these IT people to come and work using their own personal computers, their laptops. You don't want them to use your office computers, but you expect them to work from your office, to work at your office during the regular office hours when everybody else is there. You also tell them what their job duties are. You tell them exactly what they should be doing. And you set their pay at a fixed hourly rate, $20 an hour, $30 an hour, whatever that might be. But their pay does not depend on their performance and on their production. As long as they report to the office and as long as they're there, they work, they're paid the same amount per hour. You also ask them to sign an independent contractor agreement. And now you think you're set, they're contractors. However, in this type of scenario, the risk of misclassification, the risk that they're actually employees under the law and not contractors is quite high, because the most important factor that distinguishes employees and independent contractors in this example weighs very heavily in favor of them being employees, because that factor is the degree of control that you, the employer, exercise over their work. And in this situation, you exercise a lot of control, and the more control you exercise, the more likely they are to be employees and not contractors. Here, you tell them what to do, what their job duties are. You tell them where to be working from and what their hours are. And you also pay them the same amount per hour. So you treat them exactly like you would treat employees, except that they sign a paper that's saying that they're independent contractors. But that does not make much of a difference. And so is the fact that they use their personal computers. The amount of control that you exercise over the manner of their work and how they accomplish their tasks is much more important here than these other factors. Generally, to grossly simplify it, a contractor is someone you go to, whether it's a business or an individual, and you say, look, I have this task, I have this project that needs to be done. I don't care how you do it, when you do it, where you do it from, and who else you hire to help you do it, as long as it's done well by a certain deadline, and then I will pay you for that project. Now, granted, the line between employees and contractors is often very blurry, and that's why you have so many disputes, so many lawsuits, and so many class actions over this issue. However, in this specific common scenario that I just described, a scenario where there is an office, where you bring people to work there, you treat them exactly as employees with a couple of small details that make them a little bit more like contractors, the risk of misclassification is very high. Now, why it can be so expensive? Well, if these people work long hours, if they work many overtime hours that they would be entitled to overtime if they were employees, and one day they find out that they were misclassified, maybe they read somewhere online, maybe they talk to their friends, maybe they talk to lawyers, maybe you fire one or more of them and they get angry and they try to look what they can sue you for, the amount of unpaid overtime that you might be owing to one or more of them can be quite significant, because they can claim that they're owed an extra 50% of their pay for every hour that they worked per day over 8 hours and under 12 hours of work a day, and double pay for every hour after 12 hours. So this can really add up, especially considering the fact that they can go back 3 or even 4 years. And if you have more than one employee who claims unpaid overtime, that can translate into $50, $75, $100,000 or even more. I have seen really large claims against employers that really hurt them, especially when we're talking about higher hourly rate and a larger number of workers who have been misclassified. Now, how do you avoid this problem? How do you avoid this situation? The easiest, the cheapest, and the best way to avoid it is to sit with your lawyer, to sit with your employment lawyer, and to go in great detail over the duties of a worker that you would like to classify as a contractor. It would be really well worth it to work with your attorney to make sure that you're on the safe side. If you want them to be contractors, you really make sure that they're contractors. And if the line is blurry, your attorney should be able to advise you, hey, it's worth taking a risk, or it's not worth taking a risk under all the circumstances. So, do not hire people thinking automatically that they're contractors without running the situation in great detail, without running the duties, how they work, where they work from, who they work with, where they work out of. Do not treat them as contractors without consulting your attorney and making sure that they truly are independent contractors. This will help you avoid a lot of headaches, and I only talked about unpaid overtime, but there could be all kinds of other headaches with unemployment benefits, with workers' comp, and all these other headaches. It's going to cost you very little to prevent this situation. Thank you.